Hey, it's Chicken Linguini, and today I had the absolute privilege of speaking with Shari Kaplan, my therapist, all about the vagus nerve and different therapy modalities. So we'll just start with introducing yourself so everybody knows who we're speaking to.
I'm Shari Kaplan. I am an integrative mental health clinician in Boca Raton, Florida. I have an integrative health center called Cannectd Wellness, and I am a formulator of over 200 plant formulations that we use to support our patients' bodies back into a state of homeostasis where their bodies can self-correct and self-heal.
We have been doing therapy now for about a year. We just hit the year mark, and I've been drinking your tinctures, and everything has been amazing. I feel like a completely new person. So I tell everybody that you're God sent, and I attribute this past year of growth 100% to you. So.
Thank you. Well, you did the work. I was just there for the support and the giving you some tools, but you did it all, and you should feel really good about that.
Thank you. So today I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about the vagus nerve, since you are the expert on all things vagus nerve. If you could just explain what it is and why we should even know about it, because a lot of people don't even have any idea what it is.
Oof. So I don't know that I can talk about all things vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve regulates all of our autonomic functions in our body. So autonomic meaning anything that's automatic. So your breathing, your heart rate, your circulatory system, like everything, your digestive system, and your mental health. So it's and I know you and I have discussed fight or flight. So when your body is in that sympathetic mode where you're either running after the boar to kill it, or it's running after you, your body goes into a state of fight or flight. Well, your vagus nerve is responsible for that process, is one of the nerves. I'm very simplistically putting it together. So sometimes your vagus nerve is fatigued or overused or not stimulated enough, overstimulated. So I'm just saying it in different ways because I think depending on the body, we see a lot of children who have autism, like their vagus nerve is just not functioning properly. There's a dysregulation in the body that can go along with the vagus nerve. So what we want to do is do certain exercises that help to regulate the vagus nerve, so therefore it helps to regulate brain activity. We want to use certain sound frequencies that can help. Listening to different types of music while you do different movements in the body can really strengthen. So why would you want to strengthen your vagus nerve? Because you want your brain activity to be more regulated. You want to either be calmer or less impulsive, or more clear in your focus. If you're constantly anxious, you might want to work on your vagus nerve and do certain exercises, listen to certain music that could help get your system more regulated. If you have gastrointestinal problems, like also the vagus nerve can be a participant in that as well.
So essentially, if you have digestive problems, anxiety, anything like that,
cardiovascular, respiratory,
helping the vagus nerve will then in turn help those
support symptoms. That. Right, support that system in functioning more effectively.
So who would benefit from this other than those with digestive problems? And
so I think May is Mental Health Month.
Yeah, it is.
It is, and I think that people say, oh, we're in a mental health crisis. I think we've been in a mental health crisis for many years. I just think we're finally talking about it because we've all been home, and we've given ourselves permission to actually talk about the anxiety. I think chronic stress is a great example of how your body is just taxed in either a high level or a low level of fight or flight. So therefore your vagus nerve is constantly running. So soothing it, stimulating it, and different exercises will do both, right? So when you do yoga, you're using breath work, you're staying aware and present in your body, you're sending signals back to the brain by using the muscles to support your structure. And so that's actually very calming to the vagus nerve, but at the same time, because you're balancing, and the vagus nerve is a part of your balance as well, because it's part of the vestibular system. So by doing activities that are strengthening and calming at the same time can be very helpful to the vagus nerve. Believe it or not, 1940s Broadway show tunes like The King and I, Fiddler on the Roof, and Oklahoma have all been used by Stephen Porges in his studies on auditory processing. And that's very helpful to the vagus nerve, especially if you do some exercises where you're using your right and left alternating, is also very helpful. And
that was one of the first exercises that you had me do. And I listened to Fiddler on the Roof like a trillion times, and I was walking and punching my arms, but it really did help me calm down. Like at the beginning, I remember the first time I listened to it, I was like, oh my God, what is this? But after like 20 minutes into the walk, I was like, man, I really like this. And it turned into like, that is what started my daily walking habit.
Oh, great.
Because I started walking and I was like, wow, like this is really good. Like it really calms me, and I just started doing it literally every day until now. I'm still walking, and it's still one of the things that I do every morning, and I love, and it helps me calm down, and it starts my day.
Good. I think that's it's funny that you picked the Fiddler on the Roof one.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great violins. You know, the frequencies, it's like tone, frequency, pitch are all a part of strengthening the processing in the brain. So and tempo.
Sound bowls would be good then.
Sound bowls are great. You know, one of the things that we've learned from quantum physics is just like our energy and what surrounds us. And whenever you use tuning forks or sounding bowls and you affect somebody's energy with intention and with their intention, you're moving things. And I think as we have more and more science to catch up with what that actually does, it'll be exciting to see, because, you know, what I know right now is that it's great stress management. Yeah. You know, it really helps people feel grounded and calm, and we're circuited through sound frequencies. So there is a lot of information out there. If you just research sound frequencies in the body, that you can find, you know, the frequency of the liver is a 750 hertz frequency. The frequency of the vagus nerve was measured at 250. So I think it's, you know, sound is such an interesting thing when it comes to firing and wiring the brain.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you said that they have different frequencies for different like organs. That's I had no idea. I was speaking to Sheila last week about sound bowls, and she explained to me that we are all like, we're 70% water. We know that, and when you play music, you can see the ripple effects in the water. So she's like, it does the exact same thing within your body. You're rippling and you're vibrating to the music and to the sounds. So it's healing.
Right. And so the people in the world of science would say, how do we measure that, and how do we make that consistent so we can help people and know what we're doing? And I think the people in the world of practice say, it's working, so let's keep doing it. Yeah. So I think like as those two worlds combine together, we'll be able to talk about it in a more scientific way. But I absolutely love tuning forks and sound bowls and the impact that they have on a person's experience.
Good to know, because you could definitely get some little sound bowls just to have on your desk if you have a little anxious moment, and hit it and kind of calm down.
What's important to know is like which
bowl.
Yeah, because like as you experienced earlier, like some of them are more stimulating and some of them are more grounding. Yeah. So you certainly don't want to be pounding on a stimulating one by your heart when you're trying to get calm. Exactly.
So what are some calming vagus nerve exercises that we can do?
Meditation, for sure. Humming, ooh, ah, and are the sounds that really resonate in that. You know, it's one of your 12 cranial nerves, right? Mm-hmm. So whenever you hum, you're going to resonate through most of your cranial, if not all of your cranial nerves. So the vagus nerve seems to respond to ooh, ah, and And that is both calming, but it also, part of something being calm is that it's consistent, right? So it gets the conduction in that nerve calm and consistent. Probably more consistent, and then you feel calm.
So humming, ooh, ah, and
Right. Hum, like ooh, ah,
in a rhythmic way.
Right. So like even if you just like took a breath and said ooh, ah, and you just kept repeating it, right? So you could sit there quietly and do it. You could do it while you're on a walk.
Well, that would be good. I mean, you're walking, stimulating it, and humming.
Right.
Twofer.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been trying to. I can't say that I'm consistent with every shower, but most of my showers I drop the water really cold and I hum in the shower because I know that cold water is also really good for the vagus nerve.
It is, and it stimulates your metabolism and does a whole bunch of processes that I think Stanford University did some studies on that with Wim Hof.
Yeah. Something to look into because I know that the studies are there and I know that it's great. It's so cold and I just love my warm showers. So the last 2 minutes I just stand there and I freeze.
Well, that's how they say is the best way to do it. Is just get in there. It's
also a good shock for your body.
Are you breathing when you're doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's important.
I take a huge breath and I go in and I'm like, okay, just breathe because the first time I did hold my breath and I was like, I need to breathe while doing this because it was such a shock to my body and I just stopped breathing and I was like, Alexandra, breathe. So I started breathing.
You can go on YouTube and see some of Wim Hof. It's like Wim Hof, the Iceman. And he has a free guided breath work, like when you're going into cold, how to do it. And so his rhythm is a really great rhythm. And if you ever try breathing his way, you won't even notice that it's so cold. It's like your body temperature is keeping you warm by the breath method that he uses.
Okay, definitely something to look up.
Definitely try it. It's cool. And if it inspires anybody to start taking a 2-minute cold shower and work your way up, and then you have the breath work to do it, it doesn't feel so painful, and it's really helpful in stimulating your serotonin, your dopamine, your norepinephrine, and getting your metabolism flowing. And like you said, your vagus nerve.
All the systems. It's great.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, is there anything, I'm sure that there's much more for you to talk about, but is there anything else that you want to mention about the vagus nerve?
I think there's many ways to regulate the body. And I think that the vagus nerve is certainly getting a lot more attention because the world of trauma is talking about it and the world of autism is talking about it. So I think it's the more we can educate people that our body needs to be looked at from a functional perspective and not just a symptom perspective. And when we start realizing that the head is attached to the body and that a cardiologist really needs to be talking to neurologists and psychiatrists, because when you do open heart surgery or you do any kind of procedure on the heart, the vagus nerve is affected. And I think that we know, and there's plenty of studies, that people who have open heart surgery will then suffer with depression. And it's like, but why don't we understand that the vagus nerve, right, because you're pulling the heart out of the body to do the surgery, it's like the vagus nerve has been affected. You have a dysregulated system. Instead of just handing them a bunch of antidepressants, which some people may need, but teach them how to strengthen their vagus nerve again and get that back on track and understand that it's going to be a period of time and there are activities and music and movement that people can be doing. And I think those conversations need to expand.
Definitely. Yeah, the body is one intricate system, and we've been taught our whole lives that you need to heal it. Like, you heal the symptom. If your foot is hurting, well then heal the foot. And instead of if the foot is hurting, let's see, why is the foot hurting? How did we get there? Is there anything that we could be doing to prevent the foot from hurting again?
Like maybe there's something in your spine or your hips are out of alignment. Exactly. And the foot is injured because of that. Or most things become off kilter in the body because they're off kilter in the mind. So I think one of the items that people are talking more about is their traumatic stress or their chronic stress. And that's an important thing that people are coming out from behind their shame to try to resolve these things. Now we just need a lot more clinicians who are trained in trauma protocols that help people heal quickly and easily and do the work and move through it.
Yeah.
So
definitely. I was just talking to my sister this morning, trying to explain to her. I haven't read the book yet, but I've seen it everywhere, and I need to. The Body Keeps Score.
Dr. Bessel van der Kolk.
Yeah. I literally just saw it last night, and I was like, I need to get it and read it. But I have so many books on my stack that I need to read. But anyways, The Body Keeps Score. I was trying to explain to her that when you go through a traumatic experience, and if you don't properly release it, it gets stored in your body, and that's why we get triggered. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's why doing these exercises and releasing your stored trauma is also gonna help you in the long run.
Right. Well, and I think it's interesting because I actually had the honor of working with Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, and one of his chapters in his book, he actually wrote based on our conversation of how I think that when fight or flight gets triggered off, your brain goes into lockdown and you can't move past and future. You're just stuck in past and future. And you have to unlock the brain and body, which means you got to bilaterally stimulate it, get it out of fight or flight. And once it's out of fight or flight, the limbic system's available to reorganize it. So when people have any kind of chronic or traumatic stress, it's stored in an image, a body sensation, a smell, sights, right? Obviously what you see, hear, smell, touch. And we've given it a meaning, like I'm powerless, like it's a negative belief. And then there are feelings that go with it. And so depending on the emotional charge of it will be how strongly that is stored in the cells of your body. I think Dr. Pearsall did some of the research from Oz Mehmet, Oprah's Oz. He was doing heart transplants, and they were finding out that the recipients of the transplants were having the memories of the donors. Wow. And Dr. Pearsall did all the reporting on that. So we actually do store our memories in our cells. They also, I think they went on to do bone marrow transplants, and they were finding the same thing, that your memories were in your bone marrow. Wow. So that was really exciting and interesting information. But so when your body holds this memory, it's not about, let me tell you about my trauma. When I tell you about my trauma, you must be able to turn my fight or flight off while we're talking about it. You can't allow the person's body to have the same physiological reaction as it had during the trauma. So when it comes up, you want, as a clinician, to be able to intervene and get that fight or flight down. So the clinicians who are out there who have tools like EMDR, where you can use eye movement, sound, or touch to get somebody's body out of fight or flight in relationship to the negative belief, the image, the entire experience, and then you can calm their entire body down in relationship to all aspects of the stored trauma, and then you can reinstall in who they are as an adult today and feeling confident and safe as an adult today. And now when the image comes up in their mind in the future, there is no button there. And you have it, not that you don't believe it happened, it's that when you see it happening in your mind, it feels very distant, and it no longer feels that it is a part of who you are. It's a part of your narrative that you've been through. So I'm a big fan of Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's and The Body Keeps Score. I think he did an excellent job writing that book.
So I definitely will give it a read.
Please do. Yes. I think it's on audio too.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't listen to books on audio. I need to physically read it and highlight but I'll give it a read. You mentioned EMDR and all of that. Do you want to kind of explain that?
So EMDR is a modality of therapy that's used along with, right? So you do your basic cognitive behavioral therapy where you're identifying But then you move to the next level of you're engaging a person's thoughts, feelings, beliefs, body sensation, images, smells, how everything is stored, how memory is stored in the body. And it's this process that you help to move your patient from feeling powerless or not good enough or worthless to feeling that they can take charge of their life and they can be confident and that they are enough. They've always been enough. They're always going to be enough. And you can move them very quickly through that process. So, for example, if you have a single event trauma, right? So I treated some people who were in the World Trade Center. In 3 sessions, you were able to move them from feeling like I'm going to die to I'm safe today. And the intrusive thoughts and the negative beliefs and the intrusive images went away. And it took 3 sessions for the whole thing to resolve. And you get so much momentum from each time. Now, people who have had chronic abuse, chronic stress, then you end up chipping away at different neural networks in the brain of how the negative beliefs were stored and where. So that takes longer. But, you're talking about taking years of therapy and condensing it into a year, or taking a year of therapy and condensing it into, 3 to 6 months. Like, I'm a big believer in come in, heal, go home and tell your friends about me. Like, I'm not interested in keeping people talking about their pain over and over again. I want to be able to teach them skills and tools and get them to move on with their lives and help them resolve the trauma in the office and have them practice at home.
Yes, I mean, we did a lot of EMDR and definitely helped rewrite all of my stories. It was amazing jump in the therapy. So,
and look at you now, you're like happily married to an amazing man who adores you and who you adore, and like it's a beautiful story. Your story is a beautiful story.
Thank you. Well, just to wrap it up, do you want to let us know of your website and how to find you? Because we definitely need, my new motto, I literally posted on Instagram the other day, my new motto is everybody needs therapy. So how do we reach out to you? How do we find you?
So probably best to write it somewhere, but it's Cannectd.com, spelled Cannectd. Mm-hmm. And on our website, you can reach out to us there. I think our phone number is there. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Cannectd. And we're here to help. We do everything from ketamine-assisted therapy to botanicals and medical marijuana recommendations. We do integrative health and functional medicine evaluations and treatment. And of course, we do integrative mental health.
Yes, perfect. Well, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for this conversation. Love you so much.
I love you too, and thank you for having me.
I just love Shari. Thank you again for coming onto the YouTube. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for new videos every Thursday.